What is up, you guys? So today I'm going to be reviewing Wonder Woman 1984, directed by Patty Jenkins, starring Gal Gadot and Chris Pine. So to start out, first off, as far as the characters, I liked, Gal Gadot and Chris Pine's characters, from the last movie. I also liked them in this movie as well. Completely bought the chemistry that those two characters had for each other on screen. I really... I'm trying to think of the word. It was really cool to see the concept, kind of, because in Wonder Woman it was, Diana who was kind of the fish out of the water. She was introduced to this world that was completely new to her. So in this movie, you see her introducing Chris Pine's character, Steve Trevor, into this new world where, technology and it's been, I think, 80 years since he was alive or since he died. So, this was all new to him, and it was kind of cool to see that aspect from the last film be brought into this film as well. As far as the villains go, Kristen Wiig played Cheetah, and then Pedro Pascal played Maxwell Lord, who's kind of like this business tycoon kind of villain. I really liked his take. Like, I really liked the characters as far as, or the actors' portrayal, with what they were given with. But at the end of the day, like, when I rank my DC villains for movies, they're probably not going to be my top ones just because they're just not memorable to me. I don't know. Cheetah, I liked Cheetah, although it was very limited with what we saw. Like, we barely saw actual Cheetah. Like, we saw Cheetah go through all these different stages throughout the movie and, evolving. It's kind of similar to, a lot of villains that we've seen in movies. With like Electro in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, played by Jamie Foxx, how he started off kind of like this nerdy, socially awkward guy, and then became this villain. Uma Thurman's portrayal of Poison Ivy in Batman and Robin, that was another example where she was, this assistant who was kind of mistreated, and then next thing you know, she became this full-fledged villain. Same thing goes for Jim Carrey's Riddler. Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman as well. It was very similar to those for Cheetah. This film definitely has a lot of emotional aspects to it that it brings. You can tell from the start, like, Diana and her character, like, she's living in this world, but at the same time, like, she's not really living. She's not really enjoying the finer things of it, and she's just between doing her job and being Wonder Woman. That's pretty much it. Like, she has no social life. She doesn't really fit in a way. And she has this void, this empty void from, missing Steve Trevor all these years. So that care lingers for her, and it ultimately is a big emotional block for her throughout this movie. And then, I think the action was, I don't know. I mean, it was kind of underperforming. It was kind of underwhelming, especially when you compare it to the first Wonder Woman movie. I don't know. Like, some of the sequences were good, and then some of it was kind of like just bad CGI, in my opinion. I know there was one scene where, like, they showed a clip before the movie actually released, but it was the scene with the car chase, and in that scene, it just looked so bad. Like, the way she was just running, and you could tell like she's on a wire, or she's wearing a harness, and everything, and it just looks really like bad. Um, and like they have the little close up shot of her running, and I don't it just looked weird to me. I don't know. And then there's a scene involving her running through the streets, and like it just, oh my god, like you can literally see like her feet moving on the pave, and it's her feet aren't even touching the ground. Like it just looks really bad from like the running, and man, I'm really gonna complain about that. I will say I really liked Gal Gadot's portrayal of Wonder Woman. Um, that's one of the things that I've kind of always regret is being, because I was one of the people that was like disappointed when she was initially cast, but she's like really changed my perception of her. I really think she's a great actress as far as playing Wonder Woman, and she makes a good Wonder Woman on screen. I actually really like her, and she definitely brings a strong emotional and charismatic appeal to the character. So that's one of my bright spots for Gal Gadot in her portrayal of Wonder Woman. Um, I feel like Cheetah, the fights between her and Cheetah, although that once, because I'm going to try to keep spoilers at a minimal in this review, so if I say something, sorry. Um, but there was that one scene where she got completely worked by Cheetah, and like had her ass like slumped, like she was done, she was out of it. Um, and then the end fight scene, it was pretty short. It wasn't that exciting, and I also have flaws with a lot of what was going on. Like there was a lot of moments in the movie where you're like, huh, logically this doesn't make sense, but somehow it happened. Like one example, and this isn't really a spoiler because it's been in the trailers, but Steve Trevor somehow knows how to pilot a plane designed 80 years after he died. I feel like stuff like that doesn't really make any sense to me, but I'll just whatever. It's plot armor, I guess. Uh, and then I really, one of the things I don't understand is because there's a point where Diana, has where she renounces her wish. Spoiler, I guess, but she renounces her wish and she loses Steve Trevor, and then she ends up like flying. Which the flight scene is pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, it's cool to see. I mean, it's nowhere near Henry Cavill's Man of Steel fight scene, like nowhere near that. So I guess the fact that I've seen that already, it didn't really excite me seeing this fight scene because I've seen better. But um, I just I just feel like what was the point of the golden armor, in my opinion? I can understand like if she still had Steve Trevor and she still because she's had Steve Trevor, that she was still mortally like she was still like mortal and like weaker. But the fact that she renounced her wish and she was strong, like what was the point of getting the armor? In my opinion, I can understand her getting the armor if she was weak in order to fight Cheetah, but if she was already strong, what was the point of it? In my opinion, and she could fly without the armor as well. So I just don't see what was the whole point of the golden armor. Um, Besides like commercial appeal and selling toys and merchandise. But yeah, I don't really know what was the point of that. Also, I felt like the tone of this movie was really like kind of cheesy. Like I know like it's kind of like a directly from, it looks, it basically is like it's directly from a comic book. That's kind of like what the vibe was like when watching the movie, but not like in a good way. Like it's more of like 1960s, 1970s, like those old comic book movies like the Adam West Batmans. Or if I would compare it to anything, if I would compare this movie to anything, I would compare it more to like the Richard Donner Superman movies, especially the second one. So just because of how the villain was, for sure, because he was kind of cheesy in a way, and I just that was just the vibe I got from it. But I don't know. It definitely loses the tone that it had from the first movie, where it was a lot more serious, and I just felt like even though this was more global disaster, that some of the events took place in this movie, but the first one, just in my opinion, it from watching it, it seemed like it had bigger implications, even though it didn't. But that's because of the whole emotional appeal and what occurred throughout the first movie. But also, I feel like the action, like I feel like I've heard that the action they were trying to go for, like when they were making the action scenes, they wanted to make it like it was 1984, and I don't like. That's where I find a problem with it, because I understand the movie takes place in 1984, and it did a great job with as far as visuals and everything like that, and costume design, made sure it looked like it was set in 1984, and I'm perfectly fine with that. But you can still make the action sequences still look like they're shot with today's action sequences, and CGI. I don't know. Like I understand you want to pay homage to the old Wonder Woman series and all that, but I just feel like in today's atmosphere with a lot of the superhero movies that we do get, it doesn't really fit in well. Um, I feel like with the cheesy comic book aspect, I understand with the movie like Shazam having that in it, even though Shazam had fucking dark moments as well, biting villains, biting heads off and all that. But Shazam, it's okay to do it with that kind of character. But I just feel like with Wonder Woman, her, Batman, and Superman, it's kind of in today's climate. I would rather have a more serious tone. That's why, like me, I love Man of Steel, so that's probably why I'm having a hard time with this movie. But you know, I feel like if you like Wonder Woman and you just like her character in general, I think you'll still like this movie. I think if you like the Richard Donner Supermans, you'll probably like this movie as well. Um, but yeah, for me, I'm gonna say Wonder Woman 1984 is a C minus in my opinion. It's still passing. It's still good or average, but it was underwhelming compared to the first movie. Um, there was it. One of the things that I look at now is, between now and Wonder Woman 3 happening, is where did Wonder Woman, lose her faith in humanity? Because remember when we watched Batman versus Superman, she's, hiding and she doesn't want to help out because she said that she lost her faith in humanity and all that. So I'm trying to understand where between that and now that she, lost it. So I'm just trying to correlate or, connect the dots there. Also, I feel like with everything that took place in this movie, like, because, the villain and how some of the stuff reached a global scale, how was it not talked about in, movies like Man of Steel or Batman vs. Superman? Like, nobody remembered that shit. And, that's what thing that gets me is with Wonder Woman in Batman vs. Superman, she just, is, it's her own business. Like, she's kind of avoiding whatever Batman and Superman up to, and she's on her own. But, you see a guy like Lex Luthor who basically kind of acts the same as Pedro Pascal's villain in a way, like, kind of sinister, kind of maniacal tycoon type business person. So, and she didn't want to stop Lex Luthor's plan, but she was all over stopping Maxwell Lord. So it's just something like that. It trying to understand the differences. It's kind of like, like it's like those movies were made, which I mean I think they were, because with DC and everything that was going on, these movies were made under different productions, so of DC. So yeah, Wonder Woman 1984 gets a C minus for me. Um, you know, that's pretty much those are my thoughts from it. Um, I don't know. It was just very. I was so excited for it, and then it was kind of disappointing. So not gonna lie, but like Gal Gadot's performance as Wonder Woman, love her. I'm excited to see what they do with Wonder Woman. You know, because I heard the new one, or the third one, is going to take place in present day. So I'm really curious to see what they do with that. Um, but yeah. Also, another thing I want to add on real quick is just with Cheetah. I'm kind of disappointed with how they did her. She barely, like, her full cheetah form. It was barely in the movie for like 10 minutes, and then I don't know. Like, I feel like, spoiler, but when everybody was renouncing their wishes, I kind of wish Cheetah would have just been bitter and been like, "Fuck it! Like, I'm not going to renounce my wish. I'm going to stay this form." And then that way she stays Cheetah forever, and she still doesn't age, because she's like Diana, so she doesn't age. So that way she can be brought back in future Wonder Woman movies or future DC films. But now it's kind of like, well, Cheetah's gone now. Like, she had her 10 minutes and now she's done. So it's kind of like how with Ewan McGregor's Black Mask in Birds of Prey, like, both prominent characters in DC, or prominent villains in DC, and the fact that, they're just kind of wasted. Like, they're good, but they're at the same time, like, they're wasted and we're not going to see them again. It's kind of disappointing. Although Cheetah didn't blow up in millions of pieces like Black Mask did, but still, it's kind of like, damn, she's gone. So, but yeah, that's my review from Wonder Woman 1984. Let me know what your guys' thoughts on the movie were, whether you guys liked it or not. And yeah, all right.